Okay, so you know how everyone's always talking about AI and you're trying to figure out, like, how can I actually use this in my real estate business?
Yeah.
Well, we had someone reach out and say, hey, you should check out this course. It's called AI for Real Estate Mastery. And we thought, that's perfect.
Sounds right up our alley.
That's a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
Let's dive into that. And so that's what we're doing today. We're
Okay.
going to be doing a deep dive into this course.
Right.
And we've got all the information straight from the course description itself.
That's right.
And we want to figure out, could this be a valuable resource for someone like you out there working in real estate every day?
Yeah. And are they going to have to go back to school to get a computer science degree to actually use this stuff?
Right, exactly. That's one of the things I'm curious about is how technical is it? Is this for like the everyday person?
Right.
Or do you have to be some sort of, coding wizard?
Yeah.
So we'll try to unpack all of that and see if we can figure out what are the key takeaways from this.
All right.
So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so right off the bat, the thing that jumps out at me is that this is specifically for real estate.
Right.
It's not just like a general AI course.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like if you're a real estate agent or a broker or, even if you're a property owner or you're in property management or, marketing properties.
Yeah. If you're involved in the real estate industry,
This is for you.
this is the course that you might want to look into.
Right. And that to me already makes it more appealing than like
Yeah.
some general AI course. Because it's like, well, how do I take that information and then
Right.
apply it to my specific business?
How do I make it relevant to me
Yeah.
versus,
This is like they've already done that thinking for you.
Exactly. They've already kind of tailored it for your world,
Right.
which I think is huge
Yeah.
because you're not spending all that time trying to translate it
Exactly.
into, something that's actually going to be usable for you.
Yeah. And the other thing that I'm seeing here that I think is important for our listeners
Mm.
is that it says it's for beginners to intermediate users.
Okay.
So you don't have to already be,
You don't need to be an expert.
yeah, you don't have to already be like using AI tools and,
Right.
be super familiar with this stuff.
So you don't need to know how to code.
Right. It says no prior knowledge of AI is needed.
That's really good to know.
So I think that that's important because a lot of people, I think when they hear AI, they think, oh, that's way too
It's
complicated.
way over my head.
I'm not technical. I can't do that.
Right.
But it sounds like this is trying to make it more,
More accessible.
accessible
Yeah.
for the everyday person.
Which is, I think, what's needed because it does seem like a very daunting and kind of scary thing. Like, how do you even begin to wrap your head around AI and all of the different tools and, the things that it can do?
Yeah.
How do you make it actually work for you?
Right.
And not feel like you're, falling behind the times.
Right, exactly. And so it sounds like that's what they're trying to do with this course.
Absolutely.
Is make it so that you feel confident
Yeah.
and that you can actually start using these tools.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, too, people get really intimidated by the language
Yeah.
around AI and
All the jargon. Yeah.
it sounds very technical. It sounds very, advanced.
Right.
And they simplify it or at least try to
Yeah.
make it something that's understandable.
Right.
And that's really the key because otherwise it's just going to feel like it's this out of reach thing that's only for, the tech geniuses.
Right.
And the reality is that AI is becoming more and more accessible to everyone. And
Yeah.
and this course seems to be recognizing that and saying, hey, you don't need to be, a
Right.
computer scientist to understand this and to use it.
Yeah, you can actually use these tools.
Yeah, to improve your business, to,
Right.
get more done in less time.
Yeah. So looking at their description of what you'll be able to do after you take the course,
Yeah.
it says that, you'll be able to understand core AI concepts, but like specifically related to real estate.
Okay.
So like, how does AI apply to what I'm doing every day
That's great.
as a real estate agent?
That's really important because otherwise it just feels like you're learning a bunch of abstract stuff that you don't know how to apply.
Right. It's not just theory.
Right.
It's like actual, how do I use this?
How do I actually put this to work
Yeah.
in a concrete way?
Right.
That's going to benefit me.
Exactly. And then they talk about this idea of automating tasks.
Okay.
And so, things like lead generation and follow-up.
Right. Those are huge time sucks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing it all manually.
Yeah. I mean, you're spending hours and hours just trying to, reach out to people and qualify them and all of that. And
Yeah. And then, you're also having to create content all the time for social media and for your website and for
emails,
emails. Yeah.
property descriptions.
All of that.
Yeah.
And then they even mentioned appointment setting.
Wow.
Like, can you imagine if you could automate your calendar too?
That would be
Oh
amazing.
my gosh, it'd be incredible.
To take all of that off of your plate.
I know, and just think about how much time that would free up for you to actually do the things that you know only you can do.
Right. The things that actually move the needle
Yeah,
in your business.
exactly.
The things that you know are going to get you results.
Right. So instead of spending all your time on like the administrative tasks,
The busy work.
yeah, you could be out there actually,
Building relationships.
yeah, building relationships,
Networking.
closing deals. Yeah.
Closing deals, exactly.
So it seems like that's a big focus of the course is how do you free up your time?
Yeah, how do you get AI to do the heavy lifting
Right.
so that you can focus on the things that are most important?
Yeah. I love that.
I love that focus too, because it's not just, about the technology. It's about how does the technology help you in your business
Right.
and make you more successful?
Yeah, I think that's key for a lot of people
Yeah.
because they're not going to adopt a new technology just because it's cool,
Right, exactly.
right? They want to know, like, is this actually going to benefit my bottom line?
Is this going to make me more money?
Yeah,
Is this going to help me grow my business?
exactly. And it sounds like that's what they're promising with this course.
Yeah, it seems like they're really focused on the practical application
Yeah.
of AI in real estate.
Okay, so moving on, they also talk about using specific AI tools,
Okay.
and they actually name ChatGPT.
That's the one everyone's talking about.
That's the one, yeah.
Got it.
Everyone's buzzing about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So they talk about using ChatGPT, and then they also talk about using real estate-specific AI platforms.
Okay, so they're not just focused on one particular tool. They're
Ah.
giving you a range of options.
Yeah, it seems like it's more about like, here are the different categories of tools,
Yeah.
and here's what you can use them for, and then you can choose what's best for your business.
Which is great because there's so many tools out there
Right?
that it can be really overwhelming to try to figure out
It could be paralyzing.
which one is right for me.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like they're giving you a framework for evaluating these tools
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out which ones are going to be the most useful for you.
Yeah. And I think the key here is that they're not just saying like, oh, AI is cool
Right.
and these are the tools, but they're saying like, here's how you actually use them,
Yeah.
which I think is really important.
Yeah, you need that practical how-to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just kind of like, well, that's great, but what do I do with this information?
Right, exactly.
How do I actually implement it?
Okay, so moving on from the tools, they also talk about AI-driven marketing campaigns.
Okay, so this is interesting because it's not just about automating your existing marketing.
Right.
It's about using AI to potentially do things that you weren't able to do before, like
yeah.
identifying new leads and nurturing them in a more personalized way.
Yeah, and being able to really target your marketing
Yeah.
to the right people.
To the people who are most likely to actually want to buy or sell a property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is huge because so much of marketing is just like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
You pray and pray.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait for the best.
Yeah, and this is more about like,
Being strategic.
yeah, being strategic and actually using data.
Data-driven.
Yeah, to make sure that you're reaching the right people.
And I think that's one of the biggest advantages of AI is its ability to analyze huge amounts of data
Right,
and find patterns that we might not even be aware of.
right. And then use that to make predictions about what's going to be effective.
Exactly. And that's where the real power comes in.
Yeah.
Because you're not just guessing anymore.
Right.
You're making decisions based on real insights.
Okay, so then they also talk about AI content creation.
All right.
And so this is where they get into, using AI to create social media posts and emails and property descriptions and even proposals.
Wow.
Like, can you imagine having a tool that could just help you write all of that stuff?
Yeah, that would save a ton of time.
It would be amazing.
And it would also probably help you to be more consistent with your marketing
Right.
because you're not always having to start from scratch.
Exactly. And you know how sometimes you just get writer's block
Yeah.
and you're like, I don't know what to write about.
I'm staring at a blank page.
Yeah. And so this can help you overcome that.
Yeah, give you some ideas.
Yeah. And maybe even generate some of the content for you.
First draft, and then
Yeah.
you can tweak it and make it your own.
Right. Exactly.
But it gives you a starting point.
Yeah. And I think that's really helpful for a lot of people
Absolutely.
who maybe aren't natural writers.
Or who just don't have the time to
Yeah.
sit down and write everything from scratch.
And it could also help you to be more creative
Oh, yeah.
because the AI might come up with ideas that you wouldn't have thought of
Right.
on your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's a really interesting aspect of the course.
definitely. And it really ties into the bigger picture of how AI can help you to
Yeah.
improve your client relationships.
Mm.
Because if you're creating better content,
Right.
if you're more responsive,
Yeah.
if you're able to provide more personalized service,
Yeah.
all of that is going to lead to happier clients
Right.
and more referrals.
And more referrals, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not just about automating tasks.
Yeah.
It's about using AI to enhance your human interactions
Right.
and build stronger connections with people.
Yeah. I love that.
So let's talk about the course modules.
Yeah, let's get into like the nitty-gritty of how the course is structured.
All right.
So the first module is called Introduction to AI and its relevance to the future of real estate.
Okay, so it sounds like they're starting with the big picture.
Yeah. Kind of setting the stage for why this is important.
Right. Why should you even care about AI?
Why should real estate professionals be paying attention to this?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important place to start because otherwise it just feels like you're learning a bunch of random tools and techniques.
Right.
But if you understand the why,
Yeah.
then it all makes more sense.
Right. It gives you that context.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that first module is really about, like, what is AI?
Yeah.
How is it already impacting the real estate industry?
Mm-hmm.
And how is it going to impact it in the future?
And probably how you can prepare for those changes.
Right.
How can you stay ahead of the curve
Exactly.
and not get left behind?
Because it does feel like AI is moving so quickly.
Yeah, it's changing everything.
It's crazy.
And it's only going to accelerate.
Yeah. So if you're not paying attention now,
You're going to be in trouble.
you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, you're going to wake up one day and be like, what happened?
Yeah. Everyone else is using these tools, and I'm still doing everything manually,
Right.
and I'm so far behind.
Yeah. So it's important to be proactive and
Right.
and educate yourself about what's happening.
Okay, so moving on to Module 2. This one's called Essential AI Tools for Agents.
Okay, so this is where we get into the hands-on stuff,
Yeah.
the actual tools that you can use.
Yeah, and they talk about give you demos of these tools
That's great.
so you can actually see how they work.
Yeah, see them in action. So
Yeah.
you're not just reading about them.
Right.
You're actually seeing how they're used in real-world scenarios.
And then they also talk about helping you choose the right AI tools.
Okay, that's huge because, like we were saying earlier,
Yeah.
there are so many tools out there
Right.
that it can be really hard to know
Which ones to use?
which ones are going to be the best fit for you
Yeah.
and for your specific needs.
Yeah, so it sounds like they're not just going to be like, here's list of tools, good luck.
Right.
They're going to actually help you figure out,
Here's how to evaluate them.
yeah,
Here's what to look for.
based on what you're trying to achieve.
And here's how to choose the ones that are going to be the most effective for you.
Right. And I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, because you don't want to waste your time
Yeah.
and money on tools that aren't actually going to help you.
Right.
So having that guidance
Mhm.
is really important.
Okay, Module 3 is called Using AI to Generate Leads and Nurture Clients.
This is where it gets really interesting for me
Yeah.
because lead generation is one of the biggest challenges
Yeah.
for real estate professionals.
It's the lifeblood of the business.
Yeah, if you don't have leads, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
So if AI can help you to generate more leads
Yeah.
and better leads,
Right.
that's a game changer.
Exactly. And then they talk about using AI chatbots,
Okay.
which I think is really interesting because, you see those on websites all the time now.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can ask questions and get information even if there's not a live person available.
Yeah. So you can be providing 24/7 service,
Right.
even when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. And so it sounds like they're going to teach you how to set up those chatbots
Yeah.
and how to use them effectively.
And how to make sure that they're actually providing value to your clients
Right.
and not just,
Annoying them.
yeah, annoying them or giving them canned responses
Right.
that don't actually answer their questions.
Exactly.
So it's about using chatbots strategically
Right.
to enhance the client experience.
Yeah. And then they also talk about automating lead qualification,
Okay.
which I think is really important
Mm.
because, not all leads are created equal.
Right. Some are tire kickers.
Right.
Some are just, not serious.
Yeah.
And so if AI can help you to quickly identify
Yeah.
the leads that are actually worth your time,
Right.
that's huge.
That's huge.
because you're not wasting your time
We're not chasing after dead ends.
chasing after people who are never going to buy or sell.
Right. You can focus your energy on the people who are actually ready to transact.
Exactly.
Okay, so moving on to Module 4. This one's called AI Content Creation Made Easy.
All right, back to the content.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it seems like they're going to really dive deep into
And how to.
how to create different types of content, using AI.
Yeah.
So things like social media captions and emails and blog posts and even property descriptions.
Yeah, it's interesting how they're covering a wide range of content types
Yeah.
because it shows that AI can be used for so many different things. It's
Yeah.
not just for one specific type of content.
It's not just for writing like,
Right.
novels or something.
Right.
It's actually really practical for the everyday tasks.
For the things that real estate professionals need to do on a daily basis
Yeah.
to market themselves and their properties.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this course so valuable is that it's really focused on
Yeah.
the practical application.
Yeah. It's not just about the theory of AI.
It's about how do you actually use these tools.
To get things done
Yeah.
in your business.
Okay, so Module 5 is building an AI-enhanced business system.
Okay, so this is about taking things to the next level.
Yeah.
It's not just about using AI for individual tasks.
Right.
It's about integrating it into your entire business.
Yeah.
And creating a system that's powered by AI so that
Right.
everything is running smoothly.
And efficiently.
And efficiently, yeah.
Yeah, and they talk about automations that can scale.
Okay.
So, as your business grows,
Your AI can grow with you.
your AI can grow with you, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to constantly be reinventing the wheel.
Right.
And then they also talk about integrating with your CRM and email systems,
Which is crucial
which is huge. Yeah.
because you don't want your AI to be living in a silo.
Right.
You want it to be connected to all of the other tools
True.
that you're using.
Yeah, so that everything is working together seamlessly.
And so that you can get a holistic view of your business and your clients.
Okay, Module 6. This is advanced prompting techniques for ChatGPT.
Okay, so this is getting into the nitty-gritty of
Yeah.
how to actually use ChatGPT effectively.
Right, because, you can top anything into ChatGPT,
Yeah.
but you're not always going to get the results that you want.
You got to know how to talk to it.
Yeah, you have to know how to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like this module is all about, how do you craft the perfect prompt?
The art of the prompt.
Yeah, to get the most out of ChatGPT.
And I think that's becoming increasingly important
Yeah.
as these language models become more powerful. And
Yeah.
you really need to know how to use them effectively.
Yeah, and they specifically talk about tailoring those prompts for real estate.
Okay, so it's not just general prompting techniques.
Right.
It's specific to the real estate industry.
Right. So, if you're writing a property description,
Mhm.
you're not going to just say, write me a property description.
Well-
You're going to say, write me a property description that highlights these features.
Yeah.
And that's targeted towards this type of buyer.
Yeah, and that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah.
Because you're able to get really specific and tailored results.
Okay. And then Module 7 is practical templates, scripts, and workflows.
All right, so this is the plug and play stuff.
Yeah, this is where it gets really exciting.
Yeah.
Because they're giving you ready-to-use templates
Done for you.
done for you. So
Yeah.
you don't have to start from scratch.
You can just take these templates and customize them to your business.
Yeah.
And they also give you scripts.
Okay.
So if you're talking to a client
Mm.
and you're not sure what to say,
You can just pull out the script
you can just pull out the script.
and follow along.
Yeah, and it's all based on proven techniques
Yeah.
that have been tested and refined.
So you know that they're going to work.
Yeah, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
You're not guessing.
You're using something that's already been proven to be effective.
And then they also give you workflows.
Okay.
So step-by-step processes for how to do certain things,
Okay.
like how to generate leads or how to nurture clients.
So it takes the guesswork out of it.
Exactly.
You know exactly what to do
And in what order.
and when.
Yeah, so I think this module is going to be super valuable for people.
Yeah, it's going to save them a ton of time and energy.
And then finally, Module 8 is Final Project, your AI-powered real estate strategy.
Okay, so this is where you put everything together.
Yeah, this is where you take all of the knowledge that you've learned throughout the course
Mm-hmm.
and you create your own personalized plan
Yeah.
for how you're going to use AI in your business.
So it's not just a theoretical exercise.
Right.
It's actually about putting it into practice.
Yeah.
Creating a roadmap for your success.
Yeah, so I think that's a really great way to end the course.
Yeah, it gives you a tangible outcome,
Yeah.
something that you can actually walk away with and implement.
Okay, so that's all 8 modules.
Wow.
And it seems like it's a pretty comprehensive course.
Yeah, they've really thought of everything.
Yeah, they've covered a lot of ground.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about what they say makes this course unique.
All right.
So the first thing they highlight is that it's real estate focused.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
But it's worth repeating
Right.
because it's so important.
It's a big differentiator
Yeah.
because most AI courses are not specifically for real estate.
Right, they're more general.
Right.
And so you have to do all the work of translating it to your industry.
Yeah.
But this course has already done that for you.
Right, so you can just focus on learning and implementing.
Exactly.
Okay, the second thing they highlight is that it's plug and play,
Yeah.
which we talked about with the templates and scripts and workflows.
The done-for-you stuff,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah, so you can actually start using AI right away.
Yeah, you don't have to spend months
Right.
building your own systems.
You can just take what they give you and run with it.
Yeah, and I think that's really appealing for a lot of busy professionals
Yeah.
who don't have a lot of time to spare.
Right.
They just want something that works
Exactly.
and that they can implement quickly.
And the third thing they highlight is that you'll gain future-ready skills,
Okay.
which I think is really important
Yeah.
because AI is changing so rapidly
Yeah.
that you need to be constantly learning and evolving.
You got to stay out of the curve.
Yeah, and so it sounds like this course is going to give you the skills that you need to not just be successful today,
But also tomorrow.
but also tomorrow and in the future.
And the future. Yeah.
So you're not going to be left behind as AI continues to evolve.
Exactly.
And then finally, they highlight the instructor, Natalie Flanagan,
Okay.
who has over 10 years of experience in real estate and is now an AI strategist.
Wow.
So she's got both the real estate expertise
Yeah.
and the AI expertise.
The perfect combination.
Yeah.
So you know that she's going to be able to teach you, right,
What you need to know
in a way that's relevant to your business.
in a way that's practical and actionable, not just theoretical.
Exactly.
So that's really impressive.
Yeah, I think that adds a lot of credibility to the course.
Definitely.
Okay, so they also talk about the course format.
Right.
And it's pretty much what you would expect from an online course.
Yeah.
So it's self-paced video lessons,
Okay.
interactive worksheets.
So you can actually apply what you're learning,
Right.
which is great.
Yeah.
Because it helps you to retain the information.
Downloadable resources.
So you can keep all the good stuff.
Yeah.
The templates, the scripts,
Yeah.
the workflows,
Yeah.
all the goodies.
Case studies.
Okay. So you can see how AI is being used in the real world
Yeah.
by other real estate professionals.
Right. So you can get some inspiration.
And some ideas for how you can use it in your own business.
Yeah. And then they also mention potential community support.
Okay.
So it sounds like there might be like a forum or a Facebook group.
Where you can connect with other students,
Ask questions.
Yeah.
Share ideas.
get help.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's a nice bonus.
Yeah.
Because it gives you that sense of community.
Yeah, and it's always helpful to learn from other people
Absolutely.
who are going through the same thing as you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, they talk about the ideal outcomes for graduates.
Okay.
And this is where they really focus on the benefits for you.
Yeah.
So they say that you'll be able to work smarter and faster.
Who doesn't want that?
Right.
More done in less time.
Yeah. Save time on those administrative and marketing tasks.
Yeah. Free up your time for the things that really matter.
Close more deals.
The bottom line.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Position yourself as a tech-savvy leader.
Yeah, be the go-to person
Right.
in your market.
The innovator.
The one who's ahead of the curve.
Right.
Yeah.
And future-proof your real estate career.
So important in this rapidly changing world.
So those are some pretty big promises.
They are.
But it sounds like if this course can deliver on them,
Yeah.
it could be a really valuable investment
Absolutely.
for real estate professionals.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in learning more,
We do have a link to the course in the show.